All right. National College Football Roundup, Ted. Do you want to start with the Jordan Addison story, and I know it's not technically college football, but I think or do you want to start with the Isaiah Wong story? We got to talk about both of these.
Let's go with the Jordan Addison one.
Yes. Jordan Addison. Really, really good player. So for those of you that don't know, he is a wide receiver at Pitt who just won the Blitnikoff last season as a sophomore. 100 catches, like 1,600 yards, 17 touchdowns. The guy can play. And there are reports that he is considering transferring and that USC would be his potential destination. Now, as we were recording this, May 1st is the deadline to get into the portal or to submit your papers or whatever. I have not seen any update, but it seems like it's going to happen. I'll say that. Pitt head coach Pat Narduzzi is pissed. I mean, absolutely pissed. And reportedly, he called Lincoln Riley multiple times on Friday to talk about the situation. Maybe is the best way to put it. How much would you pay for that audio? I'd pay lots.
I'd love it. And I'm curious if Lincoln knew who was calling him or if he thought it was someone just worried about his warranty going off on his car. You know, it's just a random number calls you, or I don't know if he's talked with him before, but that's got to be interesting. And he's calling multiple times, which is even better. I love it.
I can't imagine that was a cordial conversation. Maybe it was, but I like to imagine that Lincoln had to move the phone away from his head because Narduzzi was yelling so loud. That's what I like to imagine. Just like, like, oh my gosh, he's mad. But there's a lot to unpack here. So I do want to say this because before, and I know everyone is going all in on Lincoln Riley with this whole thing, right? Tampering, like, scumbag. Like I understand the people that are saying that, but this ain't a one-way street, man. This is a decision that Jordan Addison and his family are making. USC's not forcing him. Now, are they luring him? Yeah, but this is not a one-sided thing. So you look at Addison's situation. He lost Kenny Pickett, his quarterback. He lost his offensive coordinator. He lost his wide receivers coach. So I know people are pissed because of the tampering aspect of it. I get it. Whatever term you want to use, tampering, scumbaggery, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But this is probably a decision that Addison's been contemplating for a while since the season ended. And he knows Caleb Williams, right? From the same area. Another player recruiting a buddy is, as far as I know, it's not against any rules. So my initial response was different than other people's, I think. My initial response, it was not like anger and outrage at USC and Lincoln. My initial response was, well, is Pitt going to be able to find the money to make him stay? Like, can Keaton Slovis not talk him into staying? Or has Addison seen Slovis throw and he's like, nope, that ain't it? Like, that's where my head went. I know everyone's pissed off about it, and I get it. But it seems like this is what Jordan Addison wants.
Yeah.
Are people mad? I think people may just be mad more about the system. I don't know.
Well, it's hard to really comment because I don't know how things played out. If Jordan Addison, there's a reason he didn't transfer. Like, they didn't lose Kenny Pickett and their offensive coordinator last week.
Right.
That all happened right after the season. So the question is, why did he wait all the way until now to transfer? Is it because he wanted to give Slovis an opportunity? He did spring ball and he doesn't like it and still wants to transfer. I think that's totally reasonable after the offensive coordinator and your quarterback are gone and the new guy you just don't feel like is going to be able to get it done. That's reasonable. What's not reasonable is if Jordan Addison wanted to stay, likes Slovis, wants to play for Pitt, and USC through Caleb Williams is setting up and offering big NIL deals. And Caleb Williams is acting as the go-between because legally that's not considered tampering. That is where I think things become, where people would get upset. And rightfully so. Like I could understand people getting upset about that because, I don't know. Pitt's not going to be able to compete with the money. I think we all know that, and think it can be. It looks grimy, honestly, if that's how it went down. But I don't know if it's just as simple as Slovis isn't getting it done and he needs a place to play. He knows Caleb Williams. That sounds all totally reasonable. Is that how it actually went down, though? That's the question.
So the tampering aspect of it, I think it's technically it's a rule. There's a rule in place, but there's just no way to enforce it.
Right.
I mean, the NCAA they don't have the manpower to go investigate all these things.
No.
And that's why when I look at this situation, I'm not mad at Jordan Addison. I'm not mad at Lincoln Riley. I'm mad at Mark Emmert and the NCAA for screwing this whole thing up. I mean, going back to the O'Bannon case, right? And that which led to the Alston case and all that, going back to them not having the foresight to see where this would go if they weren't proactive about it. And here we are, man. And I expect Jordan Addison to hit the portal and end up at USC. And for him to get some big old NIL deals. My only question is, when he hits the portal, does Dylan Gabriel know him at all? Any relationship there? Because
no.
You and I have been saying it would be awfully nice for this team to get a star wide receiver.
Yeah. And
Addison, he could be the number one wide receiver off the board next year. Him or what? Smith and Jigba from Ohio State?
Yeah.
We could use him. I know that.
A bunch of people could use him. It's crazy to think that he's going in the transfer portal, and it's going to be, if he goes, it's going to be who can offer up the most money. And it's not an NIL deal. I know that it's going to be labeled as a name, image, and likeness deal, but it's not. They're giving a guy a ton of money to show up. Right? That's really all it is. Think about how far we've gone from what you ate too many servings of pasta and you got a compliance issue out of it, right? Isn't that what happened? Something
That's
crazy
not
like
what happened, but we don't have to. There was one too many entree options. OU self-reported it. The NCAA wasn't even involved, but people love the story. So I'll just.
The thing, though. That's how ridiculous it looks. Is you have to self-report on something that dumb, but players may be enticing other guys to go working backroom deals to get big NIL money, and it's a god awful system, and it's not Jordan Addison's fault, it's not Caleb Williams' fault, it's not even Lincoln Riley's fault. It's the NCAA's for not doing anything at all as the landscape changed, and then the dam broke, and here we are. We've got this type of ridiculousness going on out there.
I completely agree. I think that there's a lot of people out there that are looking at it going, they got to change the system. Like that, whether it's, putting a cap on NIL, or, you can't make NIL until you've played one season somewhere, or they want to make it, take it back to where if you transfer, you got to sit out a year. They don't like the portal. Like, I'm just here to tell you, like, that stuff's not changing. It's not going back. And it's pretty simple. Why? Like, the NCAA, they want no part of the legal battles that would come with them trying to scale that stuff back. Because Brett Kavanaugh basically said, if you bring anything to us, you will lose. Like that's what he said. So I think there's this hope by a lot of people that this system's going to change. Right? I think we're just going to have to get used to it, man. Like,
well, yeah, I think a conference can change the rules if they want to. If the Big 12 or say the SEC, which no one wants to do it because whenever you change, you're at a competitive disadvantage. That's why whoever the first was to open up the rule about transfers being able to play immediately, everyone else just kind of had to follow suit because you're at a disadvantage if you don't. But, the SEC could say, if you can't transfer out of conference into the SEC and be eligible to play immediately unless you've graduated. Like, they could do that. And that's not really it's different with the conference doing it and saying those are our rules, and the NCAA saying you can't do that and remain an amateur, right? I think there's some difference there. So I think you could change the transfer situation, but you'd have to be willing to take the competitive disadvantage that would come from that. And other conferences saying, hey, this is an opportunity for us. So I don't see much happening, frankly.
Yeah. I do think we're headed down a path to where everything's just run by the conferences.
Yeah.
And it's starting to feel more and more like we're headed down the path where these players end up getting a cut. Like, that's how it's feeling to me. Like, cause you're right. This system, you're just like, there's only going to be more and more stories like this.
Yeah.
It's going to keep happening.
We're 1 year in. Right. And it's going to be the players getting a cut, man. That's
got to unionize.
That's
collective bargaining agreement.
Well,
a lot of legal work.
If the players get a cut, like that will pretty much eliminate most colleges from being competitive. I mean, there's only a handful that operate their athletic budget on a surplus anyways. So there's not much of a cut to get. Now, it would be like your whole pay structure for head coaches and all that stuff would probably have to change. And I don't know how they would. I don't even know how that would work.
I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert on this, but my assumption would be that whatever percentage, whatever, salary, I guess is the proper word for it, would come from the TV deals. Just because there's just such a massive amount of money coming in from that. And
yeah,
I don't know.
Well, so what would happen there is because where that money goes now, obviously it goes into running the program, but then it runs like your non-revenue producing sports, right? And if you don't have that money left over for the non-revenue producing sports, then what are you going to do?
Yeah, I would like to think that this whole thing's just going to work itself out, man, but I just doesn't feel like a realistic point of view,
it's a mess. And I don't know, I don't know enough about like how the money operates and everything to even like, if you're going down that road, what's the point of even like the school thing is just a farce now. Like it's like if you're a full-on employee, why do you even need to go to school?
That's
because that's kind of the thing.
That's where it gets interesting, right?
Right. That's kind of been the conversation is like, are you a student athlete or are you a paid employee of the university? And if you unionize and you're a paid employee of the university, then what's the school thing for? Like, are we just going to keep the charade up of like, that's why we're here is to get an education? Is that's what's going to happen with that? I don't know. It's crazy.
I don't know. Lots changed really quickly.
I know.
NCAA needs to hire a new president that can help get this thing back on the tracks, man, because I'm not entirely sure where it's headed. I pride myself in kind of being able to be like, oh, well, this and this and that. It's like the future of college football. I don't know. I'll say this. People are all kinds of pissed off about the rules right now. NIL, tampering, portal. We're all going to be watching Saturdays in the fall. I mean, it's just, especially around here, like it means too much to us not to. So, yeah.
No,
I don't know. Do you want to talk about the Isaiah Wong situation?
We can. Sure.
Okay. So for those of you that don't know, he was Miami basketball's best player. He put his name in for the NBA draft, but he has the option of coming back to school with how that rule works in college basketball. So he saw billionaire John Ruiz give Nigel Pack from Kansas State. A lot of you will recognize that name. He gave him $800,000 over 2 years and a car to come play at Miami. And Wong saw that. Remember, this was Miami's best player. Took him to the Elite Eight. He's been an all ACC guy like 2 years in a row. Was like, wait. I'm better than that guy. And basically threatened. I don't know if that's a strong word, but I kind of think it's the best word. Like threatened to go into the transfer portal if he didn't get a new, better NIL deal from John Ruiz's company, LifeWallet, which is what this billionaire's running all this stuff through. And it worked. His holdout, it worked. Now he's not getting a new deal with LifeWallet, but that deal's going to stay the same. But John Ruiz came out and was like, he has my word. I'm going to go find him some more deals. So Isaiah Wong wanted a bump, threatened to jump in the portal if he didn't get it, and he got it. Seems like a hell of a business play to me, man. I mean, well done. Well done, Isaiah Wong.
Well, see, and that's what I'm curious in football how it's going to happen, because I'm trying to put myself in a player's shoes that say I'm a guard and I'm going into my senior year. This will be my third year starting. And some high school kid never played it down is coming in and they're throwing NIL money at him. And I'm like, whoa, hang on a second. He hasn't done anything. I can understand the frustration there. And at some point, it's just going to be like everyone's going to do that, aren't they? And it's just going to have to constantly be it's not sustainable. Like John Ruiz may know a bunch of other billionaires that he can go out there and say, hey, I know this is a worthless endorsement deal for you to do for a Miami basketball player, but hey, would you just happen to throw down $800,000 to keep this kid happy? People aren't going to do this for very long. I would never do it. If I don't care how much money I have, I would never give any high school kid cash to go somewhere.
Are people just freaking out about something that eventually is going to stabilize itself? Like,
perhaps
if, 2, 3, 4 years down the road, like we work through all this junk, right? And there's kind of a market correction, like everyone starts to come to their senses. Now, there'll still be schools and alumni bases that are spending more than other people, right? That's gonna happen. But I wondered if like we're all freaking out about something that eventually is like, it'll get to something that resembles kind of the NIL format and structure we were hoping for. I don't know. Maybe that's not a realistic thought process, but you just saying that.
I think it all depends. So take A&M, right? And the rumors about how much money they paid for that recruiting class, right? If A&M wins a championship next year, the folks that did it are going to say, this is the greatest thing ever. You guys want to buy another one? Let's buy another one for next year, another national championship. And maybe that keeps it going. But if they spent $30 million on a recruiting class where those guys just transfer out, they don't win the SEC, nothing happens, I would find it hard to believe that same group of people is going to continue to throw money at a lost cause. But I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that was depressing. I feel like
it is depressing.
You and I are sitting here like two guys that love college football. Really, like, let's be real, made our names from college football. And the future of the sport is maybe we're being too dramatic, but like the Isaiah Wong thing, there's football guys that saw that and saw how it worked out for them, and they're talking to their agents, and they're going, why shouldn't I do that? Why don't we all do that? That's what my thought process. Like, I was like, damn, Isaiah Wong, like trailblazer.
Yeah.
They're going to call it the Wong, threatening to jump in the portal to get a bump. It's going to be known as the Wong.
He wonged us.
He wonged it. It's a verb and a noun.
Well, here's the thing. I think this is where the battle is. A lot of people love college football because it's the school, maybe it's the school you went to. It's guys that are there. They're grinding out the student life, plus they're going out and playing on Saturdays, trying to win a national championship. So there's that. It's not a professional sport. It has a different feeling, and it's starting to, like, the transfer portal alone starts to make it kind of lose that same feeling. And this is less about like our guys, like our school, and more about who can we pay to come in here. They don't care anything about us. Like, what we care about is our school and our tradition and how we built it through the years, and some of the guys that did things in the past and what they went through. And it's like, you want to like perpetuate that feeling, right? But then it just turns into, well, who can we just pay to come in? They don't care about OU. They don't care about our traditions. They don't care about anything. They just care about what some outside force is going to pay them to show up and do their thing. It just kind of changes the whole feeling of college football. And a lot of people don't like professional football. They like college football. They like college sports because of that reason. And it just kind of, it loses that special feeling a little bit. And maybe in a couple of years, people just get used to it and we don't really care. You know, it's just that change right now, I think, has a lot of people feeling really weird about it. And maybe you just get used to it, and it's how we do business and how the game is played now, and you move on. Or maybe some people would just continue to be turned off by it. I don't know.
Yeah. That emotional connection, right, between the fan base and the players. I don't know. I'm hoping we don't lose that, because that's kind of my favorite part. So
yeah. I think that's everyone's favorite part.
I feel like we're making people sad with this. Let's stop